Alrighty, we should be live on YouTube, etc., vuc.me/live as well. We're talking again to Mark Latour of HarQen. Mark, you're VP of HarQen. Of what? Marketing? I don't know what. Tell us.
Business development.
Business development. Better yet. Who better to visit us and tell us about all of the new things that are happening? We're talking about the product symposia. If you want to introduce it, I mean, Andy and I have both tested it, and we're both here to help you help us kick the tires. But if you want to intro the product, love to hear about the history and so on for those who don't know it.
Absolutely. Randy, thank you for having us here today. The Symposia is a platform that helps. I'm going to do this feedback. All right, that's better. So the Symposia platform is a platform that helps provide collaboration. No, I'm mute myself here.
Sounds fine here. We're not hearing any echo or anything.
Okay, great. If you're not getting an echo, then I'll just continue. So Symposia is a platform that was introduced at Econ last year in June, and it's a collaboration that enables participants to be able to take notes, much in the same way that they take notes normally today with pen and paper in a meeting. What we find today is that people start a conversation in IM and SMS. They may continue to escalate an email, but at a certain point, if the conversation gets complex, what do? They have a conversation, they talk, they meet in person. All of a sudden, the conversation is now dependent upon our memory. We have no way of getting back to the conversation to get that download, get that inspiration, to be able to access it later. The Symposia is a tool that leverages our normal behavior to allow us to be able to access that brain trust, that conversation, be able to come back to the conversation and take the essence of it. Go back to 2 minutes of time. Did I lose you?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, great. I just saw my screen change. Sorry about that. So what I've got here on the screen right now is are you looking at my screen, Tony?
We should be seeing you. I don't know if I'm not seeing your screen either. I have you centered. Now they're telling me that the YouTube is showing me in the main screen. For those of you watching live, this is weird. It should. He is definitely. This should be me. This should be Mark's screen. I mean, it's the way it's set up. It has been known to fail, and maybe that's what's happening. Let me go look. I'm going to check this now. Not that I don't believe everybody. Not that I don't believe everybody. But what I'm seeing is right, so let's continue.
You can see my screen at this point.
Absolutely, you're full screen. You're the big full screen as it should be.
So at the top left-hand side of the screen, what you see is a green button and a red button. That is a start recording and an end meeting button.
Okay.
You're seeing my screen, correct?
Okay, now we're not getting any audio.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm looking at this screen now. You see And just in the top left-hand corner, it says VUC demo of the new Symposia.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this right here is our dashboard. And this is the dashboard that a host of the Symposia session would have available. And you'll see, I'm just going to orient you to the screen. You see the call control actually at the top, the recording control at the top here, where you'll see start recording and then meeting. What I'm going to do is point out that this is the note-taking area right here. If I wanted to take a note, whether or not you're recording, I could just enter a note right here. By clicking here, you'll see that I now have the ability of taking a note. I can say this is our notes. What happened when I just took that note was I actually had a place in the conversation that had context. This is the same behavior that we normally would have for any meeting. This activity stream is very much the same as the activity stream that you're very familiar with today, whether we're using Facebook or Twitter. This allows us to, in a chronological manner, be able to navigate through the live conversation. The area here on the right has three different areas. It has screen sharing, it has presentation sharing, and it has sharing of the agenda. We see the participants in the meeting. You can see that I can mute and hang up individual lines. And I have the sharing credentials. In fact, you'll see that I joined the meeting by having supposed to call my mobile number. Trying to reach me this mobile number. What I'm going to do actually now start recording this session so you'll actually be able to experience what supposed you have the opportunity for us. I'm going to click this button here.
This call is being recorded.
And you got a Harbor message. We all know that we're starting to record, and you'll see that we have an indicator here at the top to indicate that this conference call is not being recorded. One of the key features that we found is that people requested that they wanted to be able to selectively choose whether they wanted to record the conversation or not. Not all conversations are appropriate to be recorded. As a result, we added this feature here, which is the pause recording feature. This allows you to start a conversation and it's escalating to a point where there is value in coming back to that part of the conversation and being able to listen in addition to taking notes. But then we have this ability of actually starting the recording. And if we get to a point that part of the conversation is something that we don't want to have recorded, we can pause the recording. So I'm going to do now.
Recording has been paused.
And you'll see that the indicator is low. The audio indicates the call is no longer being recorded.
That's cool.
Restart the recording now.
Is that a new feature?
Call is being recorded.
Yes, the pause and the resume is a new feature that was introduced in a release 2.5 months ago. And it was based upon some requirements that came out of the legal sector where they wanted to be able to track through a meeting, keep everything on the record, be able to, in the case of some discovery, be able to share it. But then at a point where the conversation escalated to where some such information was to be discussed and they wanted to take it off the record. And that feature was added for them. If we now take a look at the note-taking, we have some default flags here, which we can show in a minute. But anytime that you want to share information with another participant, you have this button here, share with the participant. You can actually, if I uncheck that, I can identify that I may want to have this shared with a specific user, such as both user methods, or with everyone. And anytime I want to take a note, I can add that note, and then that comes up to you. All right. So Andy had entered a note earlier. Thank you for adding it, Andy. And you see he wrote, Symposia can call out to you. That's an important feature. It was actually also recently added. We also have the ability of allowing participants in foreign countries to dial local access. Today, we have access numbers in the UK, Spain, and adding additional numbers all the time. We're currently leveraging Foxconn, but other services as well. We've, in the case of this call, we are not using the Google Hangout dial-out capability because of the Hangout Google Live, but in the event we wanted to, we would be able to bridge Symposia either into a Google Hangout or into a Skype call, so that the international participants that want to come back to the meeting are able to use it in that manner as well. Okay, so good. I see now that we have a number of features here that we've demonstrated. If I wanted to now pause the recording,
Recording has been paused.
have that capability, I also have the ability of uploading information into the stream. Now,
This call is being recorded.
I have the ability of uploading an image. You can see that the image is uploaded, and I now have the ability of doing that free of Zoom features as well. This is oriented you with so those you have the key element here is that you want to be able to come back to this part of the conversation. So if I were to go ahead of this call. Any questions?
I'm good. I'm kind of discussing things, the situation of the audio and so on, people on IRC, and I'm following the demo. You're doing fine. We just go through what's new and the various things is basically what you're doing.
Sounds good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up another window here.
Actually, BKW asked a good question, which is why is the PSTN involved? And I think there's an easy answer to that, which is that in the aims of the Symposia product, the basic audience is going to be people who are using PSTN and just the PSTN. And I think it's this test, as I put in IRC, Mark, you're looking at that probably, but for anybody who's interested, actually what's happening is Mark is talking on a normal phone through, he's going into Symposia, he called out through another PSTN leg to ZipDX. ZipDX is connected to me via SIP. It's going 4,700 miles across the Atlantic to me, and I'm sending it to wherever I'm talking to Google from. So, so I would challenge anybody to get better quality audio on this setup. But I think hopefully um, I can put the different recordings together maybe. BKW, well, there's no way to do that, unfortunately. I guess there would be a way if Google Hangouts were able to call out via SIP or something.
Exploring other API integrations.
I see VKW is not pleased by my explanation, but it is what it is, I guess, is a better. Anyway, where are we, Mark?
So, what we have here is the basic capability of augmenting a meeting with note taking. You're able to come back to that meeting. In the event we had a, let's see here. Going to share. I'm looking at now our past meetings,
Mm-hmm.
and you can see this is the list of previous meetings. If I were to take a look at a weekly meeting, you can see that there are a number of elements in this weekly meeting. And you can see that that the oops. You can see that there's the audio at the very top. You got a better example.
What's striking, Mark, is that if you're going to be doing a lot of meetings, you're going to these meetings, if they were all meetings, these are phone meetings, but if you were sitting there taking notes, it'd be one thing, and obviously no one is good enough to get everything down, so you can't remember what some note meant, if you're me anyway. Take notes, and then I can't remember what I meant by the note or what was important. What's interesting here is that you've got the snippets that are put together from everybody who participated, even if it's just 2 or 3 people for that matter. And it's all on one page or all in one document. By the way, the thing that you're looking at now, is that integrated into some kind of, obviously it's part of Symposia. Is it also integrated into some company platform, software, Office, or anything like that? Or are there bridges of any kind with products that companies are already using? Or does that even make any sense?
So the first week in October at the Oracle Open World Conference, Symposia is going to be demonstrated by Oracle's social networking team. Leveraging the Symposia API, what they were able to do is extend the conversation stream where updating the system of record of your Fusion CRM or your Fusion HCM platform, the program products that Oracle has. Their enterprise network is a stream that provides you to document sharing. So if you have a contract with you, you're able to open up the contract and mark it up. That conversation is affects this conversation. By adding in Symposia, what they're able to do is right from the conversation stream, click start a meeting, have that meeting initiated, dial out by selecting the authorized to join, and then as we take posts much in the same way that we have here using the Symposia user interface, it's actually buried behind their user interface. But when they take a note, it automatically goes into the audio. As a result, it's fully integrated. We're looking at a integration likewise with Salesforce, so you can think of it as a dialer, but effectively it's updating activity records within their CRM. So tight integration with partners leveraging the API of Symposia is what you're going to start seeing initially with the demonstration at Open World with Oracle, but then subsequently with other partners very shortly.
Okay, that sounds interesting. What is the date? When's this show?
So Open World is in San Francisco October 1st through the 3rd.
Okay, not far.
Charlie Fitzsimmons, our CEO, will be on the DS with the head of the Oracle Social Network development team, Amy Kershaw, and demonstrating that capability.
Should be interesting. Yeah, I just noticed for the first time, Mark, that the telephone, I didn't realize this. I thought the phone was the animated phone on the screen, which we're not looking at now, but the one I'm seeing. I didn't realize it indicated who's talking. I guess that's always been the case, but I've never noticed it before. I just thought that the phone meant that somebody was talking. So.
Amy,
Actually, I wonder if I reduce the size of the browser window.
So you can see that, and you can see that now I'm talking, and I've got a little phone indicator here. As you're talking, you can also see that you have an indicator.
I had never noticed that before.
The other controls, this is a supposed to host. I also have the ability using doing muting and hanging up individuals if I've got a noisy line.
Right.
So there's a fair amount of call control within here, and what we've done is we've extended the call control as well as the ability to do note taking into the APIs. So that has been extended so that in partner applications like the Oracle Social Network integration, that call control is available to project or actually to the host.
Okay. You did paste an image in a few minutes ago. I know that there's some kind of presentation. How does that work? Isn't there?
What I can do is I can.
And is it recorded if you do that? I mean, we saw the document with the comments. By the way, are the images in those comments, the document that we were looking at a few minutes ago, when you clicked into previous sessions, are images that are posted, if there are any slides or whatever, are those included in the record or not?
Yes, they are. So I'm uploading a presentation now.
Okay.
And you'll actually see it when I actually click through the presentation as I advance through the presentation. What ends up happening is that I'm able to automatically, by moving one slide to the next slide, that is tagging the audio.
Oh, cool.
As a result of that, what ends up happening is that I'm able to use my visual memory to come back to a specific moment in time.
Mm-hmm.
If I remember that there is that pyramid slide, which occurs in most presentations, that I can now say, okay, when you were on that pyramid slide, wow, that was interesting. Or actually, let's share the presentation here, and you'll see that, wow, the presentation that had the picture of the pretty girl on the right-hand side, that picture right there, that's where we're starting to talk about the element of the fact that you also have to be aware of your ability. Well, this conversation, this moment in time, is now a moment in time that I have access to later. I can advance to the next slide and see what's on. In this case, this is a different view available, and notice that as I advance the slide, it added a second image into this presentation.
Right.
So I'm doing by just advancing through the presentation. Another thing we can do is we can actually have an agenda. I may have an agenda of, say, it starts out saying, welcome introduction over here. And then we just created an agenda for this meeting. What I'm able to do by simply tagging this agenda, and it adds now a marker against the audio. This agenda features can be used for live interviews where you may have a list of 10 questions you want to ask. When you use Symposia for live interviewing, what you're able to do very nicely is hear the way you ask the question in addition to the response. So if you're asking the question one way, then one individual, they may have come up with a specific answer. If you ask it exactly the same way to another person, and you expect a similar answer. But in the event you didn't create the same way, you got a different result, that would help. What we find is that this type of tool is very, very useful for inside sales type of situations where you're on a script. Today, in web-based solutions where we automate websites, we're able to do A/B testing very effectively. We're able to advance through a script. As we advance through a script, much in this way, same way that I'm advancing through an agenda, you can see a particular disposition where you successfully complete the sale that you convince someone. But in the case of an inside sales team, a telesales team, where you're advancing through a script, you're not sure whether or not whether the individuals have a stack stayed on script. And when you don't get a disposition, when the sale isn't completed, when you haven't dealt with an objection properly, what ends up happening is that as a result, you have no mechanism to determine whether or not the script was wrong, whether or was it the person was off script, and that the resultant disposition was unrelated to the messaging of the company.
Got it. I want to mention something that's maybe not obvious, because we're looking at the host's screen. So there's some controls that not everybody else has, and it's a little bit different. The blue button that you see, well, in fact, now it looks like the same screen with the yellow highlighting. All I was going to say is that each person who's participating, when they've clicked on that blue agenda button, they're seeing what we're seeing now on the shared screen, which is a highlighted agenda that shows where we are. But if you were looking at a complex slide, you would click on presentation. In fact, maybe you can do that, Mark, so everybody can see. When you click on presentation, you have a chance to keep looking at the slide. I mean, because the agenda is fixed pretty much. You just want to know, well, where are we? And what time is lunch? But when you get back to, if you want to get back, in other words, it's important to note that you're not just sitting here with nothing. First of all, you've got all these input controls to, if no better way to say, you can handle whoever's speaking. But seriously, you can actually do the comments and add things. If you're working with a team, the team can also be adding stuff rather than calling on people. And okay, so can you give a report on such and such? While you're giving your presentation, the staff or someone with whom you're working can also interject or comment on the post you did here. We did overview. I'll like it while I'm on the way, and then I'll type in an extremely intelligent thing that I could paste it in if I was working with you. Let me see if we can see that. And there it is, a very brilliant lorem ipsum comment that I typed in. So the level of interactivity is a little, because it's kind of a fake situation where there's just two of us playing around here with you, Mark, as a presenter. But if Andy and I were actually going crazy with content, then the screen would be very busy. But the user, the people who are watching and are in the conference, actually have control as in what they're looking at as far as the presentation, the agenda, and they can obviously take part. Let's see what my activity and direct share is when I click on that. Right. So I mean, you're looking. What you're looking at is pretty much what you want to look at. There are things you can't avoid, but mostly you're in control. So everybody has that interactivity. I think that's really important. It's something that's really hard to grok, uh, particularly since we're looking at a whole screen. We can't see a lot of detail either. But this is, in my opinion, something that absolutely has to be tried. I wish I had a more serious business use myself, so that I could take advantage of it. But for people who need any kind of organization of conferencing and notes and things that happen, I think it's just an amazing thing. So hopefully people will see that when they see the Oracle presentation and when they see, I presume you do other shows where it's just you, and when you're doing that, there must be plenty of interest.
Yes, what we're seeing is that there are a number of use cases that actually have come up that are very interested in this. One of which is in terms of any type of complex sale where you're starting off with a team where follow is required. That's one area that we've definitely found interest. Other areas that we are finding in terms of
And I'm typing in a very long thing, so focal.
The answer is yes. There are a number of meetings that we're going to be having where people are going to be able to take advantage of Symposia one-by-one. Any meeting really has the opportunity of using this for note-taking. The note-taking that Randy you're doing and you familiar, you are sharing that with the entire audience. The ability of having a private note sent from one individual to another, much in the way we do today with our iPhone or our BlackBerry. Those private notes, being able to have those notes tagged to the audience so that as you're thinking something, even if you're sharing it only with another colleague, the ability to come back to treat that use as a marker coming back is really where the value comes from. In the case of an interview, you may not actually be sharing the activity stream with the candidate, but then this has your set of notes for the interviewer. The ability of being able to tag the audio, tag your insight notes that you're thinking about, tagged in, rather than having resolution notes you're putting into your notebook, you actually have tagged those that you can then come back to at a later point. The number of use cases that we're seeing is just continuing to explode, and it really comes down to really our imagination. We're finding that active development, the ability of being able to have very, very rapid development of conversations, assign action items, and then have follow-ups either daily or weekly. Those types of environments lend themselves directly to Symposia.
I really like it. Is there a way, are you the only one that who can upload images, or can other participants? I thought that was in the last thing I saw, but I'm not seeing that.
Yes, so if you need to add a note.
I just noticed images in there. Yeah, those ads. I did not see that at first.
One of the use cases that we found interesting is that you're able to have a distributed meeting. You may have participants that are working on a whiteboard in one area, then have other participants in the session in another side of the world, and be able to take a photo of the whiteboard to be able to then share access to it. Like that. So you just put the partial screen grab.
I'm just grabbing the a couple images on the fly here to show that. These are close-ups of near the phone and so on. Also, I see you can full screen the slides, which is hip. There's a little control over in the corner.
Being able
I have a question about the call recording.
Okay.
Well, once the call has finished, or the meeting has finished, and you've hung up the conference, I mean, I don't know at the moment how you get access to the recording, but presuming that it replays through your own infrastructure, does that mean that you can click on different notes, or you say the audio is marked? Can you easily then return to that part of the meeting that you want to listen to again?
Yes. Let me grab. I've got an all-team meeting here. So you'll see at the top, I've got a player bar. You'll see this was a 54-minute meeting. And there's several different views available here. I've got the presentation view. I've got the activity view. I've got a summary view. When I look at this information, what I see here is that I've got a lot of information that is available. This right here is the agenda where if you click on any given agenda item. If I were to look at schedule, we didn't actually have any audio there. We've got people saying they're going to be in and out, and I can say, Anne's going to be out next Wednesday. So by just clicking on the play, what I'm able to do is actually jump to a moment in time. So kind of been traveling to Cleveland. I'll put play here and so what I was able to do, you'll notice that the message when it started recording, it backed up several seconds prior to when something was said. In this case, the scribe Anne, or chief operating officer, was typing, and when she typed the message, when it was tagged, we backed that up 2 seconds so that then you're able to hear the full context of the comment. And you can walk through the presentation. Sorry, through the meeting. And we can do that literally with every meeting. You can take a look as an example at flags and say, all right, I want to search based upon to-dos. JM to follow on but you can see that as a result, you clearly got a list of comments that were made. These are follow-ups, and we can see what was assigned to me. We can see what was shared with me. We can take a look at notifications. These are notifications. This is a meeting that I missed. I've got a to-do. Need to reach out to an individual, with Oracle, and I can actually schedule a new meeting. It's actually very easy to schedule a meeting. Click new meeting, main meeting. This right here is important. You have the ability of, because of people are concerned about privacy, especially when it comes to the recorded voice, you can say that I want this meeting to be available to everyone that was a member of the domain. In this case, the domain for this is the HarQen in our company. But if this was for ABC Corp, that was, or VUC, then this would be private members of the VUC. Alternatively, you can say, I want it only to be the only people that can access the meeting would be the participants in the meeting. So there are restrictions. We're going to have additional privacy control features to support the webinar support. Once we create the meeting, we can now see it's chosen in the dashboard. If I wanted to, I can copy information and share it with someone. Alternatively, I can say, let Symposia call me to actually kick off the meeting. And then I can either add a new number using this number. This is actually where you could actually have dial your Skype number as an example. Or dial your the VUC conference bridge. But that would be where you join Symposia into any other meeting. If I wanted to start this meeting, I'll just click start. And even independent of the recording, I can still take notes.
Okay. Andy seems to have blacked himself out. Maybe he went out for a drink or something. We want to make sure there's no further questions from anybody. There's been some problems with the audio and the way we're relaying it, and I apologize for that. I'm really sorry that.
I had a quick question.
Yeah, go.
I don't know if it's been addressed or not. So you're explaining this as the cloud service. Is that also available as an on-premise service for enterprises? And how does it scale? I mean, do you have any experience on how many people per call and how many consecutive calls?
So the question was, is there a on-premise version of Symposia? That's one question. The other question is, what about scalability in terms of number of participants in a call? I think that was your question.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah, so the answer is that Symposia is offered today as a cloud service. We are white labeling the product, and the architecture that we have today supports the ability of having it made available under a white label through a service provider. It wouldn't be something that the enterprise would necessarily want to integrate, but we're open to dialogue there. In terms of scalability, it's a highly scalable platform. The VM architecture of the platform really means that based upon volume requirements, we simply add additional processors or additional bandwidth. At this point, the platform has had all 50 participants at a time without any difficulty, not encountered anyone doing any more than that. Currently, the number of concurrent legs can be significantly larger than that, but we just haven't encountered those as yet. So I think that answers your question.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Pleasure.
Any other questions? I'm watching IRC, and I'm seeing a bunch of comments about the sound and so on. Basically counterproductive. Well, Mark, I apologize to you as well for the troubles we had. I don't know. I'll have to look at the result and see if it's something that we want to keep on the air, not only because of the breaking up and the audio. I'm going to see what the two recordings are like, and we'll see what happens. But appreciate you coming back. I personally am convinced this is a fantastic product, and I'm afraid we're not doing it justice with the technology we use today, and I do apologize for that. By the way, I put myself back on the screen that I'm trying to hide. Here's which camera is this? Well, that's that one. Let me switch over to the one that's on. Oh, there it is. All right, I actually am a human being, not a machine. So, okay, so let's terminate the broadcast. Thanks again. The product can be, you can learn more about it by going to Symposia, SYMPOSIA.HarQen, which needs to be spelled too, HARQEN.com. .com, if you can't spell .com, I'm afraid you probably don't need you don't need Symposia or HarQen. Symposia.HarQen, HARQEN.com. And Mark will be pleased to discuss business development with you. He can be reached, I'm sure there's contacts on the site. The main site of HarQen, by the way, which is an interesting company to say the least, is HARQEN.com. And you can reach us at VUC.me.
Danny, thank you very much today. Really appreciate it. And really look forward to ways we can improve the ability of demonstrating it, because this is a great board.
Yeah, and I think we'll look into that. Let me just end the broadcast, and we will definitely look into finding a way to do this correctly. So this is it for the public part. I'm going to kill that. Sorry for the 6 people who are watching. Oh my God. We've broken the tubes.